And I first chatted with Joy earlier this year about my work around food, farming, and farmers markets. However, today I'm going to talk with Joy about her amazing work on this show, the people that she's interviewed, the work she showcased, and a little bit about herself. And Joy, I'm just going to ask you, can you remind people how to share comments and questions, and then we'll get rolling.
Sure. Thank you so much, Joan. This is so fun. I haven't been interviewed about this series, and it's happening in the 100th episode, so I'm so excited. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I know a lot of people can't join us live, but I wanted to mention again about the giveaway today. I helped collaborate with one of the people in the series, Clementine Sadiner of Mikan Bags. And she's making, it was kind of my idea collaboration with her, and she's making these beautiful masklets. So it's a mask bracelet style. So it's lots of beautiful Japanese kimono upcycled material designs. And the idea is you wear it around your wrist, and then when you wrist.
It's okay. We're with you. We're with you. It's okay.
And then when you need it, you've got it. Sometimes I just put it around my bag strap if I don't feel like putting it around my wrist. But they're beautiful. She's done a stunning job. So if you want to enter the giveaway, maybe by the 30-minute mark for this episode, if you just write a comment that you'd like to be entered, and I'll put your name in the lucky dip. Is that what you call it? Nice. Lucky dip, lucky draw?
Sure.
Yes. Whatever works. Yeah. So yeah, let's start. Joan, go ahead.
Sure. And how do people ask questions? Like just in the comments? Or?
Yeah, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, your comment should appear if you just write below the live stream video. So I should be able to see it. And today we'll do it live stream style. So whoever writes a comment, I'll be putting it up. Unless it's completely crazy. And then I won't.
Oh my goodness. Someone had extra coffee this morning.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I'm actually drinking more, so it might get worse.
That's okay. Me too. We'll be in this together. We're in it together. All right. So I was thinking, one of the things I think that's always interesting to learn about people is like where they come from and what they did before we met. And so I'm wondering, Joy, could you talk a little bit about where you're from and how you ended up with your family in Hiroshima?
Sure. We got our first comment. Thank you, Melanie. Fantastic to see JJWalsh being interviewed. What a legend. You are an inspiration.
Aww. That's awesome.
Thank you, Melanie. You're awesome. I'm going to mention you soon when I talk about the series, so stay tuned. Originally, my origin story, this is so interesting. Thank you, Joan. I grew up in Hawaii. I moved to Virginia in the States for a few years because my grandma was sick, so we moved as a family there. I went to university in California because I didn't want any more cold. I'd had enough of cold, so I wanted somewhere warm, but I didn't want to go back to Hawaii. And then I studied psychology during my undergrad. And I actually was planning to go back to Berkeley. I was entered into a graduate course to continue my counseling degree as a graduate school. But I decided to change my mind after a year of teaching in Japan on the JET program.
I see. Nice.
And I'd been working with people who are terminally ill, quite heavy topics for a 20-year-old. And when I came to Japan, and I just thought I'd try it for a year. My dad was actually living in Kyushu, so I asked if I could be an oita in the interview, and they're like, yeah, of course. Why? And so after a year, seeing my half brothers who were growing up there and spending time with my dad and learning about Kyushu and enjoying teaching, I just changed my career path and then spent 3 years there, met my now husband in Oita. And after the 3 years, we traveled around Asia and Europe for 2 years and ran out of money.
Oh, wow.
And then we're looking to get some more money to travel some more. And
Hmm.
we saw a job in Hiroshima. And so we came back in 96 just thinking, oh, we'll just do a year. And that was, yeah, we haven't left. We
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
96. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Uh,
That's classic. Wow. That's wonderful.
Another comment from Midori Farm. Thank you, Chuck. Great to see you on the other side of the interview. Thank you.
Aw,
It's so
that's
fun.
really awesome. Um, wow. So how do you think all of that sort of so all of those experiences, graduate school, teaching as a jet, and sort of, traveling around Europe and Asia, how do you think that influenced you in the work that you've chosen to do and kind of gravitated toward?
Yeah, great question. So I think because of JET, I really loved teaching. And so I ended up getting a higher degree in TESOL, teaching applied linguistics.
Oh, I
And
see.
then a few years after teaching at university, I started getting more interested in tourism and travel work because my husband and I started Get Hiroshima website.
Oh,
Just kind of like an online magazine to help residents. It was first aimed at international residents, trying to be a bridge to information we knew about
hmm.
Hiroshima that it seemed like a lot of other people didn't know because we were making a lot of contacts. So it became more travel focused, of course, with international visitors to Hiroshima. We get so many every year. And then I started thinking more about sustainability and sustainable tourism and what is the needed balance between the locals and the visitors and
Hmm.
the environment and resident, like all the sustainability balance issues. And I
Right.
think I think having grown up in Hawaii,
Hmm.
I think that helped
Oh, I
me
see.
give some background, because Hawaii has been very famous for a long time for over tourism. So I
Hmm.
think that gives me some like reason to think about and try to help
Sure.
over
Sure.
tourism problems here because that's been a big struggle for keeping indigenous culture, indigenous land, indigenous
Hmm.
language in Hawaii. And I see so many parallels happening in Japan.
Sure.
Had a
Sure.
great talk the other day about Ainu culture, and he did a great documentary about Ainu women and trying to embrace her culture, trying to make a living. And there's so many things about Hawaiian culture that came up, and
Mm.
then the need to keep the language going forward, the need to keep culture going forward. So, yeah, so many parallels back and forth.
Right. Right. Right.
Did
Right.
that
That's really
answer
interesting.
your question? I can't even
Yeah. Yeah.
remember.
It totally did. Actually, yeah. That's fascinating. I mean, shoot, I could talk to you for an hour about that, but okay. Sorry. Darn it. Back to my list. No, but I think that's really good, and I think it's something. I feel like a lot of people don't really think about that with tourism, sort of the impact. We often think just of the economic value of tourism, which I think is completely valid, but there's like a whole other side to it that also kind of is there, and for the communities that are affected, and sort of thinking about that. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
for sure.
So, and that
So,
kind of makes,
sorry, can
oh,
I say? So,
yeah.
during when I got interested in it, started researching more. So then I did my MA with University of Arizona for sustainable tourism.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so I have two MAs. That was to me that was a lot more interesting than the teaching one. Just to be
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
honest.
Hmm. Yeah.
But then that led me to go and visit Kamikatsu in Tokushima and learn about their zero waste
Oh, yeah.
targets. And they're at 80% sorting their trash into 45 categories. And then it really like got me inspired. And I felt like everybody I talked to there, I was on the same level with. Like
Right.
they get the
Hmm.
ideas that I was talking about. Whereas most of the time, when I suggest something sustainability focused, then people are like, oh, we can't do that. Like that'll cost too much, or that'll take
Right.
too long to transition, or it's not worth it. Right. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction, I think, sometimes to sustainability. So, yeah, sort of reframing it in a more positive way can be, sometimes it's tricky, but clearly, I mean, I would say your show is making it obvious that you can do it, and it, it's manageable to make that, to help people see the other side of it, and that it can be effective, and have a really positive impact that's also cost effective and meets a bunch of other sort of benchmarks that we set.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that was the reason I started the event. When I started my business last year, I left university and started my own business, Inbound Ambassador, in April.
Oh,
And
okay.
I started a monthly event called Seeking Sustainability. And the idea of the event was to have a short talk, maybe 2 or 3 speakers, just talking for 10 minutes. But we would have vegan snacks.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
had a friend who was an amazing vegan baker, and she made great vegan foods, and she was able to cater it for the first 2 times. And Jamie, thank you so much. And we had this great vegan food. We were using reusable plates and cups. We had these interesting talks, and it was a really small gathering so people could ask questions. We had a corner where we asked people to bring their stuff that was still usable that they didn't want. So we had a free cycle area. There was a lot going on, but the whole idea was to make it fun and to make
Mm-hmm.
sustainability accessible. And
Mm-hmm.
it's something that you can make small changes to do, and you can try it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not impossible, and it doesn't have to be only academics who are thinking about it, or only people who wear the SDG label on
Yep.
their uniform. Like,
Yeah.
this is something we should all be having fun with. I wanted to kind of take it down a level, because I think
Yeah.
when I started it last year, and maybe even still now, the idea of sustainability is so highbrow,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That it's too serious, or it's too much of a hurdle. So I wanted to bring it
Right.
down, and then we had a DIY section where we would have a workshop.
Oh, cool.
So
How fun is that?
I didn't know how to make stuff, but I researched on YouTube, and we learned how to make our own toothpaste from turmeric and baking soda and coconut oil. And
Dang.
I was using it, and then you can also use chocolate. It's really interesting. And
Wow.
I had a friend, Rika, who taught us how to make our own soap. That was really fun.
Oh, that would
So
be really fun.
yeah, little things like that. Lee wrote a
Mm-hmm.
comment. Great to watch. Yay, Joan, enjoy. Thank you, Lee.
Aw, that's really sweet. So, and actually, that's a good flow in to to a question that I have. So, Inbound Ambassador, I have to say, I really like that name. It's kind of intriguing, and it conjures all kinds of images. And sort of, can you sort of talk about a little bit about what that means exactly
Sure.
to you, and
Yeah.
like why you chose it?
Yeah, of course. I'm showing the picture of my inboundambassador.com page right now, which you can always read more about me and the things I've done if you're interested. You can also sign up there. You can put your email so you can get an update every time there's a new post and stuff. Subscribe via the blog. So inbound, because in Japan, inbound is about tourism, the people coming in. And
Mm-hmm.
ambassador, because I really want to focus on sustainability. So I really want to make it clear that my focus is not just on the incoming customer. My focus is really on making it work for local people and the customer. And I really believe you can have high quality experience, which is great for the customer and fantastic for the local people. And
Mm-hmm.
that the idea of sustainable tourism is that you can get income and not sacrifice the environment, not sacrifice your culture. It
Mm-hmm.
takes work, it takes research, it takes a lot of thought, and you have to reassess how things are going and figure out the way forward and make plans. It takes, a bit of effort, but it's
Right.
definitely worth it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think now, because of coronavirus, it is the way forward.
Yeah.
It is what we want to do for the future of
Mm-hmm.
travel. When we
Mm-hmm.
get back into tourism, it's going to have to be less people, more meaningful travel, right? It's going to have to be thinking about what's the benefit or cost for the local environment and local communities. So
yeah, kind of slower and smaller in lots of ways, I think. Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. Richard says congratulations. Thank you.
Aw. And then you also mentioned to me once upon a time that part of your inspiration for Inbound Ambassador and even the series was came via Melanie Brock and Gary Vee.
Yes. Thank you so much. I forgot about that. And it's so wonderful to have someone interviewing me that can remind me. We had an event for the 20th year of Get Hiroshima a couple weeks ago. And somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, I hardly recognize you because you don't have your colorful glasses on, and you don't you don't look as animated."
That's awesome. And there was no purple background.
And there was no Norden. So she's like, "I hardly recognize you, but I really love your series." And, it is like you're putting yourself out there. It's like teaching. It's like acting a little bit,
Yeah.
But it's true.
Definitely.
And the reason I wanted to live stream comes from Gary Vee. Inspiring. He's an inspirational speaker in the States. You can find his stuff online. He was doing something called Tea Time with Gary Vee, where he gave live stream advice and would take comments and people struggling during coronavirus. And he really inspired people to just do their best and do what they can and get content out there. And when I was listening to it, I was searching for inspiration because I was depressed. Like, what the heck is going on? All the travel tourism work stopped end of February, basically, right?
Right.
And so when I was listening to him in March, and he was starting to get me on walks outside and start to kind of look for ways to put my content out there. But I didn't want to just talk about what I know. As a teacher, I think we get in that focus of my research, my content, my teaching. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to get into consulting, is to learn from other people and to learn about actual situations. So Gary Vee is saying, use all the social media channels. They're free. Why not? Live stream, multi-stream, collaborate with other people and get your content out there. And then Melanie Brock last year, she did that amazing Celebrating Women of Japan series. And she was posting new profiles almost every day. Sometimes twice a day, And so I was like, I should try every day. Like, if people are willing to talk to me, why not? Like, just try. And so I sent out feelers to people on Twitter, my Twitter peeps. And people are like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll live stream with you. Sure. We could talk about photography. We could talk about gardening. We could talk about farming. And that was the start, and I never expected to get to 100. I think in my mind, I was thinking, get to 50. That would be great. Maybe over the year I can get to 50. And then I've been going pretty much daily since May. And, we're at 100 now. It's just incredible. So thank you, everybody, so much for all your support and everything. Oh, no, I have a few comments I missed.
Okay.
Wendy says, what a great service you have done for all of us in Japan. You will never know all the ripple effects you have brought about by being a connector of people. Oh, thank you, Wendy.
Yeah,
Wendy actually... She made a comment to me the other day, which I thought was really beautiful. She said this series, in her mind, is kind of like a time capsule. It's kind of like you're documenting what people in Japan are thinking about and doing during coronavirus.
Yeah.
And in 5 years' time, or even a year's time, we're going to look back and be like, that's what we were doing. That's what we were thinking. Those were the hurdles we had. So I thought that was really beautiful. Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah, that's really nice.
And Erin, thank you for commenting. Thanks for the content. Thanks, Erin. Amy says, I'm loving your series. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Kim says, congrats on your 100th show, Joy. I had so much fun being interviewed by you. It's great to see the tables turn and hear about what has inspired you. Thanks, Kim. Molly B says, congratulations. Thank you, Wheel Woman. I was so happy to find out I was one of the 100 in the series, and also that I was the first one outside Japan. Awesome series, and it's been helping me through the days of lockdown. Thank you so much.
Nice.
Molly says it's also been educational and thought-provoking. Thank you, Molly. I really appreciated Molly's comments when we were talking about the Ainu. She had some great insights from the States. That's been a real surprise to me about the series. The audience, most of the people listening and watching are in America. And then recently, I had a chance to open up the podcast to other markets. And now my main audience for the podcast, for the audio version, is in India.
Get out. Really?
Yeah. So top downloads are from India now. And then the number 2 is America, and the number 3 is Japan. So it's very interesting to see how the markets are different for the video version, for the audio version. Each channel has different favorite videos and stuff in the rankings. Really interesting.
Yeah. Wow, I wouldn't have expected that. That's fascinating. It'd be really interesting to find out like what appeals to each separate group as you go along. We can talk about that maybe in episode 200.
Oh yeah. I wonder if I'll be able to do up to 200. Yeah.
I bet you can. I have great faith in this being a possibility.
It's been amazing. It's been such an interesting journey for me. So it's by hearing people's comments and feedback and the fact that they're enjoying and learning from it and getting new ideas from it, that's what it's all about.
Oh yeah, it's totally, I think it's very inspiring, and I think it's really fascinating. And you said your comment, one of the things you said most of the time, so how do you find the people for your show? Like you had some contacts yourself, but what are some other ways that you've been able to find people?
Yeah, good question. I contacted, thanks Molly. Molly said, go for 1,000. Thanks, Molly. How long would that take me? Is that like a 10-year project? I'll keep going.
3 years max.
I'll keep going as long as I can. The first episode was Grow Your Own Food. So I had a good friend on Twitter, Flo, who's an amazing gardener, and Thomas, who lives in Hiroshima, who's a great farmer, and John Walsh, who's an urban farming coach. And so got them all together. My son is a total bilingual, was translating because my first idea was we would have everything translated. But I ended up going away from that model once I saw that most of the audience is in America. I would love to, and then there was a flow issue, right? Like when you're talking to people and then you have to pause for translation, and then it wasn't translating everything, but it was definitely a different flow than if you're just sticking to one language. So in the future I would love to get it all subtitled, because I would really love for Japanese people to be able to access all this great information, of course.
Oh yeah.
So that's a plan eventually to get it subtitled. Erin says, just wanted to reach out for a talk, maybe for a talk eventually. Worked for Aichi Prefecture Environmental Division from 2006 through 2012 for Expo in Biodiversity and Protection of Endemic Species. Yes, definitely, Erin. Let's get in touch.
That sounds awesome.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, like seriously, I'm very excited about that one.
Yeah.
And also it makes me wonder, what was the learning curve like for you in terms of managing the live stream aspect of all of this?
Good question. It has been a real hurdle. For
Mm-hmm.
that first episode, the technical stuff was really hard to learn, actually. It was a
Yeah.
big learning curve. And
Mm-hmm.
I've done, the back end of websites and stuff for Get Hiroshima, for InboundAmbassador, for a long time. But this was a whole new ball game.
Hmm.
And so I'm using a software called the Ecamm Live, and that's for Mac computers. And it has to be used in combination with Restream.io and other like software components. And then you have to register your codes with different, places that you want to stream at. And it was
Wow.
it's kind of a big nightmare. And then I'm going through Skype because Skype seems to be the least glitchy to
Well,
work
that's interesting.
with all these platforms.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
tried it once with Zoom, but it just didn't work very well, and
Huh.
the quality just wasn't as good. So it's been a real trial and error process.
Sure.
I did think about trying to run an online seminar if people are interested in the ins and outs of how to get started for multiple live stream like I'm doing. Um,
Uh-huh.
I might get around to doing that. If you're interested, let me know. Reach out. It might be easier. It might be easier to do for a small group, like
Mm-hmm.
maybe 2 or 3 people instead of like a massive, because everybody's situation is a little bit different,
Right.
depending on your computer, depending on what kind of social media you want to launch to. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, that's an
Yeah, yeah.
option.
Okay. All right.
Um,
And then,
so, so you
mm,
asked about the technical stuff, right? So after the first episode, I
uh-huh.
basically had to lie down for the rest of the day because I was so exhausted. And mentally, I was just like, it was so hard to keep up with all the putting up photos and like going between speakers. And then my son was translating, so he would have to be another speaker. And then, arranging everything on screen. It was
Mm-hmm.
hard. It was really hard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think after like the second or third episode, I decided not to do multiple speakers. Like it was just too hard
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
was too much. But it certainly gets easier the more you do it. But yeah, the first episode was hard.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I meant, yeah, like a lot of things like that. It's sort of getting to that, getting through. So it sounds like in your case too, like getting through those technological hurdles, and then sort of figuring out how to streamline things and what works for your audience,
Yeah.
what really interests them, like both the person you're interviewing, but also the people who are watching.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Um,
I just had 2 people say they're interested in that seminar, so I will have to. I will have to set it up. Okay, we'll set a date. We'll do it. We'll do it.
yeah, that'll be really fun. Please let me know.
Yeah, I will.
So,
I think I talked to Chuck, commented he's interested. I think I mentioned it to him because he was live streaming as well in one of the
yes.
episodes. And
Yep.
then I did admit to him in his talk that there's some things that I don't remember. Like because I've been doing it for so long. It's like talking to an athlete about how they
Yeah.
do something. I'm kind of at a physical memory stage right now where there's
Yeah.
a lot of things I do automatically which I don't
Mm-hmm.
really think about, but
Right.
I will definitely for the seminar. I'll try to
Mm-hmm.
work it out for you. So
Sure.
so
Very nice.
we'll work on that.
Oh,
And
that's
Ante says, "Congrats on 100 eps. You'll hit episode 200 before you know. Keep up the great work." Thank you, Ante.
very nice. Very
Nice.
nice. So, for example, say someone like, me was thinking about starting like an interview-based podcast or YouTube channel. And this was a question that came in via Twitter from Sebastian. Um, what advice would you have for people thinking about doing something like this?
Yeah. Um, Maybe think about why.
Mm,
Why would you want to do it? Like for me, it's It's to network, right? Like to make connections with people around Japan who are doing great things in terms of helping their community, helping culture, um, sustainability stuff, not only for tourism, but for living, and things that I'm really interested in that I think can be part of my portfolio when I consult with destinations or consult with businesses about ideas that they could try, right? And so there has to be a reason that you would want to do it.
Okay.
So, like, as a journalist, it seems pretty obvious, right? Like, you would want to interview people that you write about, you know, and have that visual component as a part of your portfolio. So,
Right.
because some people love to read, right? Some people love to listen. There's people that only like to listen to podcasts. There's people that only like to watch. Quite a lot of people watching YouTube are reading the subtitles while they're watching.
Yes.
A lot of people watching YouTube are just listening to it. Or, you know, that's why podcasts, a lot of people say audio is the way of the future. So it's like Gary Vee says, he's like, why not just do everything? You know, I've got the videos, and it's going on Facebook, it's going to 5 channels simultaneously, and then it's housed, the full version is housed on YouTube. But then an audio version is now on audio channels as a podcast. So it doesn't cost you anything. These things are free right now, basically free. There's a few like storing charges at different sites and stuff, but yeah. So why not?
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah.
Try it. See if you like it. Right.
Yeah. Okay. And so the primary question, and I think that's good. Like with any big project that you undertake, like why are you doing this? What's your motivation? So yeah, to see what your investment is. I think that makes a good sense. That's always a good place to start. I guess one of the things that's also, so as I was getting ready to talk to you and perusing kind of the list of folks that you have met with and the various topics that have come up, could you talk a little bit about themes that you've seen? I mean, I know what I saw, but yeah, what are some of the themes that you've seen emerge, and were you surprised by any of them over the course of the series?
Yeah, for sure. Erin has a good comment here. Share what you're interested in, and you will be surprised by how many others are also interested in. I think that's
classic.
true, Erin. And it's also the live stream functionality plays so nicely with sustainability because it's transparency, it's accountability. It's happening in real time. I'm not, doctoring it or editing things out, or, what you see is what's actually happening. So that's one of the hurdles for getting businesses to be sustainable. They have to be honest and transparent. Was there anything that surprised me? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like what are some of the themes that you've seen emerge? And then like, did any of those surprise you? Were you, kind of, I don't know. What were you expecting?
I think it surprised me what the most popular videos were.
Oh.
So remodeling an Akiya has been the most popular YouTube video. Paul and his wife Kim Fridali remodeled a 130-year-old Japanese house, and their video is the top most popular video watched in the series.
Wow.
And then remodeling your Akiya has come up loads of different times. In Kyoto, my bar has remodeled an old tea house in Kyoto and made it into a guest house, and that's also a very popular one. So there's just that idea of reusing old buildings, reusing old materials, reusing culture in a relevant modern way. So Paprika Girls videos about wearing kimono in her modern life in a beautiful way. She looks very traditional. She's really into tea ceremony, but she's using it as a functional fashion of her
Mm-hmm.
modern Japanese life. And that's also
Nice.
been very popular. I've done a couple interviews with her about wearing kimono, about tea ceremony, about all these Japanese culture things she knows so much about.
Wow.
So that
Yeah.
whole idea of reusing Japanese culture, reusing traditional houses, reusing traditional textiles in
Sure.
new relevant ways, or
Mm-hmm.
teaching uh, indigo dyeing, or teaching, or the guy who did tatami, but he's doing tatami in an artistic way.
Mm,
Those are so popular, and it really made me think these are fantastic examples for when I talk to business or when I talk to
right.
destinations who think that inbound visitors wouldn't be interested in that, right?
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
I have proof, that
Yeah.
these buildings, if you keep them, their
Mm-hmm.
their aesthetic appeal, but you make them safe for fires, you make them comfortable to stay in, are so much more appealing than a new build,
Oh, yeah.
so
Yeah.
I have kind of data because of this series, and
Right.
comments and stuff that I can use, so it's not just my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot more powerful.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Yeah. I think that was one of the things that really surprised me, that people were so interested in those restoration projects. I mean, I know it's appealing for me, just because we've participated, my husband and I have participated in some home restoration projects or other things. But yeah, I guess, well, it's sort of like what Aaron said, if you talk about what you're interested in, other people are going to be like, oh yeah, me too, they'll appear. And yeah, I guess it's part of the evidence of that, I think. Well, that's totally fascinating. The other thing, there were two other things that I saw, as I perused your list of folks and the topics that were covered. And that was also diversity and inclusion and community building. And that, I think those were sort of unexpected parts of sustainability. And I think, could you talk a little bit about what you've learned through these conversations that tells you that these themes are integral parts of sustainability?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, of course. I Molly says interested in the rehab because I was purchased an 1890 fixer upper home. That's awesome.
Wow.
Wow. And Erin says this challenging situation has an opportunity for a new way of communicating and seeing the vast possibilities of a community you can create. Absolutely, Erin. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think even like remodeling your old Japanese home, that has so much community value. That
Yeah.
has social equity because
Mm-hmm.
you, like Paul Fridale was saying, his neighbors were so happy that they didn't knock down that house because it was a feature of their community, but nobody lived in it for so long. Everyone just assumed that they would knock it down and a new condominium would come up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
because they kept it and they restored it, and they were fighting back the bamboo and giving bamboo shoots to all the community,
Nice.
they were able to be accepted, and their efforts were supported. People would give them supplies, people would help them out. And so, in terms of rebuilding rural communities in Japan, which is so important,
Yeah.
remodeling old houses, doing volunteer activities, peace activism, there's so many things connected to um, social equity and creating better quality of life for residents here. And then, because the audience is in America, because the audience is in India, it doesn't have to be only in Japan that you can apply these ideas and concepts.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that to
Mm-hmm.
me is so exciting and interesting, that there's
Mm-hmm.
so much relevance no matter where you are.
Right.
And I think before I started the series, I just assumed the only audience would be international residents or internationally minded Japanese people in
Right.
Japan. That was what I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
assumed, you know. So to
Right.
hear that people are so interested from outside Japan really shows that these kind of sustainable ideas are helping create a better brand for Japan
Mm.
as a destination if you want
Mm-hmm.
to come and live and work, and a better brand for sustainability in
Mm-hmm.
general, that these things are accessible and possible, right?
Yeah. 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 And very much a global appeal, like very place specific, but also sort of, yeah, that they have this broad appeal to people. That's really interesting.
Yeah. John Walsh says, Joy, you've done an amazing job to hit 100 interviews. Thank you, John. Little Foreigner says, congratulations on 100 episodes. Thank you. And Molly says, mine are too. They've given me old windows on Elder, showed me how to replace window paint. So talking about her community helping her rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that part of it, but of course, and sort of those kinds of places are sort of integral to how people think of their place. They're like local landmarks, and they're so full of history and heritage. I think that is completely fascinating. It makes so much sense now that you're talking about it.
Yeah. Oh, good. We have a new question from John Walsh. Do you think that your interviews could be proactively promoted as a resource for the press, NGOs, environmental groups, etc., as a source of people and ideas? Yeah, for sure. I already know of some people who have used, and of course, we all draw on what work other people are doing. I have gotten a lot of great guests from Japan Times, because Japan Times has featured, like your articles have featured, amazing women of taste. So we have Lee from Lee's Bread. She was in your Women of Taste series. She's been in the series. So I hope, and I've heard of some people who are drawing on people from my list of people in the series, and who listen and are sparked by an idea, or who want to know more about that person or that thing that they were talking about. So yeah, for sure. I hope people are using it and expanding on it and developing more conversations. How exciting.
Yeah. Well, I know that I perused it because recently my column, Women of Taste, I needed a next 6. And so I was like, I wonder, who's Joy talked to? So I rolled over there.
Good.
Yeah. So that it was, and it's fascinating, because like we've talked about too, it's nice to talk to people who are not just in Tokyo, because I mean, Tokyo, bless its heart, is a fascinating place. And full of people doing terrific things. But it's also really nice to sort of stretch out and talk to people who are in other parts of the country doing really good work.
Absolutely.
Because I think that,
and a student asked me, she was interviewing me about the series for her IB thesis. The IB is like a high school international baccalaureate. And she was saying, how do you make sure that you're not talking in an echo chamber? And I thought, what a good question. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I started this series. That's why I'm not only talking to people I know. That's why I'm reaching out to anybody and everybody who's doing work in sustainability in Japan. Even if I don't know them, I'm trying to make a connection. I'm trying to bring an audience in who maybe doesn't think they know anything about sustainability and it's too hard. I'm trying to draw them in with different topics so that they realize it can apply to them. They can make choices which make a difference in their lives and their community.
Right.
So when you talk about Tokyo, I mean, Tokyo in terms of sustainability events and seminars, until coronavirus, it was only happening in Tokyo. That's why I started that event series, in Hiroshima. But then I felt bad that it was only Hiroshima, and I tried to put some of it online. So actually, coronavirus has done me a favor by forcing it online and then making it accessible to everyone.
Right.
right?
Yeah. 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 And I think actually, in a way, that's one of the benefits too, because it sort of makes people, because people tend to be staying home more and they're becoming a bit, I don't want to say internally focused, but I guess they're looking for different kinds of avenues. And yeah, I think it's opened up real opportunities for series like yours, where people can still meet and create community and learn something from each other. I think that's really great.
Yeah,
Um,
Erin says it's cliche, but none of those of us connected by the heart of things are really desperate for quality content. Thank you,
yeah,
Erin. It's
yeah.
awesome.
Aaron's on it. Wow.
Yeah. We
um,
have to include you in the series, Erin. Get in
that's
touch.
right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so you've touched on this a little bit, and I know you've got a schedule up for parts of the rest of this month, but so what's happening for the next 100
Oh
episodes,
my
do you
gosh.
think?
Can I tell you a funny story that I've learned, lessons I've learned along the way that
Mm-hmm.
so Mac of Maxian Planet asked he did an interview with me on one of his websites, and you can find it on his website. And he asked me about the series, and I was a little bit I'm boastful, I think. I was a little overconfident at that stage. So please, if you do read it, take it with a grain of salt. I've humbled since then. But I was saying, oh wow, what I think is really special about my series is that I'm doing so much research and I'm really up on it, before I talk to everybody. And that is
Mm-hmm.
that is true. For most people, I do spend about 3 hours of research for each interview
Well,
and
nice.
trying to find stuff online. But I am human, and sometimes I am not on it. And to be honest, sometimes I have not done my research properly, and I feel really bad because I find out later, like after the
Mm,
interview, that there's some key part that I've missed. And
mm-hmm.
I hate that, and then I have to go and apologize and say, I'm so sorry I didn't know about that. I would love to have you on again in the future. Let's just talk about that thing, and it's hard work, like doing that pre-talk back and forth with the guests, especially people I don't really know. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to apologize for that article when I said I'm so on it with research, because I'm not always on it. And I apologize, and I'm honest about it when I'm not. And I hope to
Yeah.
have those people back on, because some episodes are I'm on it and I feel like everything goes really well. But
Mm-hmm.
this being a journalist or a talk show host, it's just being human, right?
Yep. 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 Oh, and speaking of being on it, were you going to do a drawing?
Drawing. Oh yes! Am I doing that now? 10
Sure.
minutes! 10 minutes!
Sure.
I
Yeah.
have to do it.
Sorry.
I have
Sorry.
to do it. I
Sorry.
have to do it. No, thank you so much. See? I need somebody. My person
Well, I
who's
should have set a
helping.
timer actually, but there you go. Now I'm learning. I'm learning.
Okay, yes, I'm doing the drawing. We have 4 beautiful wristlets. No, it's not called a wristlet. Masklet.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got some names in here. If you're watching, or if you're not watching, I'll get in touch later. Let's see. Okay, first one is I'm Midori Farm. Check,
Oh,
you have
cool.
won. First one. I'm
Very nice.
rummaging, I'm choosing. Shindo, Tokuko. Shindo, I think you're watching. You said you're from Tokushima. You won.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, two more. I'm rummaging. Marissa just made a comment. Marissa of Echo Hachi, you won. I'll be in touch.
Nice.
And no international people. I thought some international people were entered. And Melanie Brock, you've won number 4.
Oh, that's very cool.
Woohoo! Very cool. I'll be in touch with you guys and send it out. I hope you like it.
Nice, nice.
Yay.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
everyone.
congratulations.
That's really good. Um, and so I just have two more questions for you, unless somebody writes one in, and then,
No, yeah,
mine can
yeah.
get bumped,
Go ahead.
because I can talk to you anytime. But what are some topics or areas of sustainability that you want to explore more deeply?
Oh my gosh. That's a really good question.
Um,
You know what I'd really love to do, and this is one reason I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel.
mm,
Now I'm near 500 subscribers, but there's a lot of things I can't do until I'm at 1,000. And one of the
mm,
things I can't do, which I really want to do, is go to places and do the live stream from a place that's not my house.
oh, wow.
And
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that. I can't do mobile live stream until I have 1,000 subscribers.
Okay.
So that is something I'm hoping to get to, and then be able to go to an indigo workshop and talk to them while we're doing it.
Nice.
Go to artisan who's making Japanese musical instruments or drums, and talk to them. And then if I have a translator, or if I'm just daitai dekiru translating myself, like just the gist of what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what I hope to do coming up. But yeah, I've already got this whole month booked, and the bookings just keep coming in. So as long
That's
as I
great.
can, I'll just keep doing it. But of course, as I'm getting work projects as well, I'll have to travel sometimes to different destinations doing consultancy. So unless I'm staying in a Wi-Fi place, like with my computer, I won't be able to
Uh-huh.
do it if I'm outside the house. So yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
please
All right.
subscribe so I can do it on the
Yeah.
go and
Yeah. Well, you can
show
take us
you
all on a field trip.
workshops. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
there's a great guy who runs anything maikake. So he makes the traditional Japanese aprons, the
Mm.
indigo like denim aprons, and
Yeah.
he's invited me to his factory. So I would really love to go and do a
Oh,
live
yeah.
stream from there. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah. Oh, that would be really fun.
I've
Okay.
got another question from John Walsh. Joy, what topic or issue that you have come across in your interviews has had the biggest impact on you, and why?
Oh, that's a great question.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Um, hmm. You know, Yesterday's one with One Planet Cafe, Satoko and Peo, was
Mm,
really inspiring to me because they are doing a proper business that is so collaborative internationally, as well as environmentally friendly. So,
mm-hmm.
and within Japan. So they're collaborating with Image Mill, who was also in the series, Richard Graham, a filmmaker. They're
Mm-hmm.
collaborating with Lush, and they're collaborating with a factory they created in Africa,
Yeah.
and to create banana paper.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're collaborating with businesses back in Japan to make business cards out of banana paper. And really, so they're taking a key concept of sustainability to
Mm-hmm.
create jobs for people that need it, to reuse waste, to make environmentally friendly product, to
Mm-hmm.
collaborate, and then just keep going with it. Like there's so many different products and collaborations that they can just keep doing more and more. So
Yeah.
I think it's fresh in my mind. But most of the talks, to be honest, I feel really bad that I haven't been writing posts after every one, because there's so many things that come up to me after doing the interviews that I need to be writing it down more, because my husband said maybe I'm doing too many, because if I was doing less, maybe I'd have more time to write. Yeah.
Mm.
So it's a difficult balance, but I am writing down some, and I am hoping to reconnect back to all the people in the series and get a book together, based
Oh,
on
yes.
different chapters, different topics that keep coming up over and over again with the different talks.
Oh, yeah. That would be fascinating, I think. That would be really good. Yeah. There was actually we've got about 4 minutes left in our time, but I wanted to touch on something else that Sebastian had asked over Twitter, and that was he was wondering what your opinion was about what might be needed to make veganism or sustainable nutrition more mainstream in Japan, if you had any insights as
Yeah.
to.
And he asked me for some recommendations for people for a project that he's doing about plant-based, like local cuisine done in a plant-based vegan way. And
Hmm.
I'm talking to a great speaker this week who knows so much about it, Nadia McKechnie. And
Oh, uh-huh.
she runs Tokyo Vegan like group on Facebook, and she has a great website. So it's something that I'd like to explore even more
Hmm.
and try to get more insights from people who have been working in it for a long time,
Nice.
especially Japanese people who are running cafes
Yep.
or restaurants, which is plant based, and they've been doing it for a long time. I'm
Hmm.
hoping. I thought this would be the year for
Yeah.
plant-based vegan because of the
Yeah.
Olympics.
Yep.
And I saw Moe's Burger was making a plant-based burger, and now they've pulled it. Now they're not doing it
Oh,
anymore. But there are other companies that are doing. I hear rumors of people doing soy meats, on the mass scale like they are in
hmm.
the States. But there's so much resistance from so many different areas in Japan for some reason. So I
Hmm.
think it's going to be a bit slower than I thought.
Yeah. Interesting.
Erin says you can always rewatch your vids and take notes. Yes, Erin, that is so true. Yes, smart girl.
Yeah. The
And
voice of optimism. I love it.
yeah,
I love
and
it.
Real Woman says, I'd love to take you on a cycling adventure so you can live stream that and show others what is possible on a bike, the places you miss by being in a car. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
These are
Yes.
the things I want to do if I can take it on the road. Take
Yeah.
SSL on the road.
All right.
And
Yeah.
John
Well.
says, a book would be incredible. Thank you, John. That
Cat.
was cat attack. And it's live stream, so it happens sometimes.
Oh, that was so great. All right.
Ah,
So I'm going to ask the last question I always ask people in any interview. Um, is there anything I haven't asked you or that we haven't asked you that you would like to tell us?
I think I've covered mostly everything. I would like to say that I'm not just talking about stuff. Like I'm really into
There you go.
taking it to the streets, being actionable about
Yep.
what I say. And
Hmm.
I think that comes, sorry
Hmm.
Dad, I think this comes from being a minister's daughter
Hmm.
and understanding hypocrisy. I know that sounds harsh.
No.
But
Mm.
when you see preachers talking about the ideal and then you see their real life, and my father's a wonderful person, I'm not saying he's not,
Right.
but I want to do what I say and I want to try it out, right? So
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm committed to once a month doing cleanups at rivers and beaches, at least once a month.
Nice. Hmm.
I'm committed to doing disaster relief and helping out when there's a disaster. Like I'm committed to talking to my local community people and trying to improve their lives as well as improve the quality of products and services for customers.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm legit. Trust me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm in it. I'm not just
Yeah.
saying it. I believe
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm
taking it off the screen and into real life.
for
Yeah.
sure. And
That's
I
good.
am not perfect. I try to eat plant-based, but if there's nothing else to eat, I will eat something with dairy. And if there's nothing else, I will eat something with fish because you have to survive in Japan. Like I am not perfect by far. I'm doing my best, but I think that is a recurring theme of this series as well, is that you have to make the best choice with what you have. Yep. And reassess your situation and just try to do better next time, you know, and keep communicating, keep planting seeds, and be positive.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's a fantastic note to end on. Wow. Joy, thank you. I really enjoyed hosting. It was,
thank you so much.
That was a pleasure.
That was awesome. And I will be much more comfortable back behind the scenes tomorrow. No, I don't mind so much. Joan, you made it easy. Thank you so much.
No worries. It was really fun.
Thank you, everybody, for your comments and lovely questions. And congratulations to 4 of you who won your masklets. I will be in touch and send them on to you. Thank you, everybody. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe so I can take this show on the road.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Oh, last few comments. Amy says, Joy definitely walks the walk. Molly says, thank you for helping me be more aware of the environment and what is being done and make me think.
Nice.
Toji says, congratulations. Outstanding service. Absolutely great job. And such a great role model. Love you. Oh, thank you, guys. Love you guys. Love you. Take care. Be safe during coronavirus, everyone. Thank you very much. Bye. Have a good day. See you tomorrow. Thanks, Joan.